Hello, Beat Baseball World. Welcome back to the Beat Ball Blues Show. This time around, I'm all alone in my darkness because my twin brother, usually at the other end of the darkness for me, said dog is not here with us, wasn't able to make it. So we'll have to catch up with him later on, which kind of disappoints me because we had talked about coming up on the show. Probably not until October, but we plan to make the debut of Beat Baseball Jeopardy. And I really would rather, I heard that. Somebody lit something. I got totally distracted. My bad. Haven't even got to the guests yet, and I'm already off track. But I wanted Seth Dog to be here to talk about it because he's more the game show person than I am. But I'm just going to have to go forward without him. So to give people an idea, to get people thinking, my thought is we're going to have to bring on like 3 guests to compete against each other. I plan to have 5 categories with three ways to earn points in each of the 5 categories. They'll all be Beat Baseball related, of course, since it's Beat Baseball Jeopardy. And we plan to have prizes for our winners. So people better start getting up on your beat ball knowledge. If you want to get on here and attack, try to be a winner. This is a very competitive league, so I expect people to fight for these spots. All right, that is enough about that. I didn't even get around to introducing myself. Hello, I am the captain of this ship, your 2000 offensive MVP, 5-time world champion, Neil McChaos, because I'm all about the chaos, and this episode is also going to be all about chaos, but maybe not in the way you're expecting. We have from the Atlanta Chaos, one of the captains from that team, Mr. Garrick Scott. Hey, Garrick, what's happening? Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it. And you're right, it is absolutely all about the chaos.
There you go. There you go. Joining him also, Mr. Ricardo, the big noise of Beat Ball Flores, joining us on the show. What's happening, Richie?
Hey, what's up, Neil, man? I want to be a contestant on that Jeopardy, and I'm just glad to be here with one of my best friends in the world, Garrick Scott, and help create some chaos with him.
We're going to start with breaking news. I heard that you've left the Jets and you signed a 5-year deal with the Atlanta Chaos. React.
No, not yet. I signed a one regional tournament deal.
I want to break that today. Hoping to make it longer after this tournament weekend.
Yeah, we got a one tournament contract, and we're going to work with that for right now.
No, I think it's cool that you're helping them out. You know, we're going to dive into the chaos. I want to hear all about them, how they got started. But I gotta jump on you a little bit, Richie, man. I'm a little bitter towards you, dude. Here I am. I've either hosted or co-hosted every single episode of this show. And I think your name gets mentioned more than mine does on this show. Every time I ask somebody, how do you find beat ball? They're like, oh, this dude, Richie Flores, got me into it. Man, have you brought the entire state of Texas into beat ball lately? It seems like you brought everybody to beat ball, dude.
Oh, man, I'm just happy to – this is going to be my 15th year, and, you know, pretty much every year I started off, you know, with Austin Blackhawks, which is a dynasty team, and it was really easy to – fall in love with the game then, and I learned from my friend Mariano Reynoso how to talk to as many people about beat baseball as I can, and you know, that's kind of been my my mission the last 10 years is, you know, trying to create, you know, a new team with the Jets and share beat baseball with my friends like Garrick and some folks out in Georgia, and you know, I played with a couple different teams. I played with the Lone Star Roadrunners to bring some you know, experience to them too, and I had a good time, man. Baseball is great.
No, obviously you've been a great ambassador for the game. I mean, the fact that so many people have mentioned you in that way, I think, is a credit to the effort you make, given of yourself. But it's not just beatball, though. Since we're friends on Facebook, I see you mention other things. Just recently you talked about, I don't want to get it right, so you should take over once you know where I'm going. But a few years back, you and a few others went to Mexico and helped like the blind community get, I believe, assistive technology and stuff. Do I have that right?
Yeah, yeah, that's me and Garrick Scott. We both are
okay.
two founding members of Metas, mentoring and engaging, teaching all students, and it's basically a nonprofit that we started after going to Mexico for about a week and taking over a school for the blind, and doing all the teaching and mentoring, and we bring definitely canes and braille to them, and probably within the last couple of years we've been including some technology for sure.
I was glad you took over, because I was going from memory, and that's never safe. But honestly, when I talk to young blind people, the two things that I push on, I don't push technology on them. They'll find that, and that, you know what I mean? It's available if they have the means or the desire. What I still push on young blind kids is braille and a cane. I mean, I'm not a great braille reader because I haven't stuck with it as I've gotten older. But I got my hands on braille as we're speaking. I got all my notes out in braille, and I use my cane every time I leave my house. So you know what I mean? There's nothing more. Yeah, that if they learn those two things, that's not something that has to be plugged into a wall, or you know what I mean. That's something that can always help them. So that's bigger to me than the technology would be. So man, good for both of you. I didn't even know when I started this that Garrick was involved in that too. Yeah. So good for you, G. I dig that. So Garrick, man, tell me about this Atlanta team, man. I know from having played on, I guess, technically 4 different teams in California over my 23-year career. I know how teams can kind of devolve and revolve and whatever, keep kind of spinning around. So is this team, because there was an Atlanta, the Atlanta Eclipse a few years back?
Yeah, exactly. So in 2013, that was the team that started with, and the number of the players that played with the Chaos, that was the team we started with, and then that team disbanded about 3 years ago, and we played with the St. Louis Firing Squad, and we played with them for 3 years. And as with anything, the travel became just a little hectic and a little expensive, and we began to put plans into motion to start our own team in Atlanta, and that's where we are now.
So is it made up, when you're saying we, do you have quite a few players that played with the Eclipse that are on the Chaos now, or is it mostly new? How's the team made up?
The core members of the team did play with the Chaos, so it's about 5 of us that play with the Atlanta Chaos that play with the Atlanta Eclipse. Okay,
cool. So you guys have experience. Even though you're considered a new team going into this tournament next weekend, you guys have some experience.
We have some experience, but we have a couple of new players that are going to be playing with us. The game is new to them, but luckily we got a lot of experience with Richie playing with us, so that's going to help us out a lot. I think they're going to be surprised at how good we are when we play next weekend.
What about like your pitching and your spotting situation? Will this be their first live action, or do they have experience also?
They have experience also. I think we have one of the best pitchers in the league, in Cortez Hill. He pitched for us 1 year with the Eclipse and then 3 years with the Firing Squad. And so he's going to be our pitcher also with the Atlanta Chaos. And then our spotter is actually the big brother of one of our players, and he's been our spotter for 2 years with the Firing Squad. And so he's doing double duty. He's actually going to serve as our catcher and our spotter with the Chaos for now.
Hey, Richie, talk a little bit about how you got involved in playing with these guys for this tournament.
Sure. Yeah, man. I mean, basically, the San Antonio Jets, when we found out that there was going to be some beat ball played in 2020, we got really excited and signed up for this September 11th tournament managed by the Indy Edge. And, you know, that was kind of the first wind of beat baseball in 2020. And so we signed up for it. And then it came around that there was another tournament in Indy that most of our players could make because it was still kind of happening over the World Series. And so some of our folks still had vacation days requested for that, like Kevin Simpson, our pitcher. And so the Jets chose to attend that. And so we had we had a spot open up in the Indy Edge tournament.
Right.
And I kind of connected with the captain, Chubby or Dontre Hunt and Garrick, to ask them if they'd like to take that spot since they're a new team, and you know if they're itching to play and they're comfortable going through the pandemic kind of thing. If they're comfortable going, I'd kind of have a spot available that I can just kind of switch the chaos for the Jets, and they were down for doing it, and so I'm excited. And it also gave me an opportunity to be like, hey, I also had requested quite a few days of vacation this year for beat baseball that I didn't get to use. And so, I asked if they can use some help, and they're like, yeah, come on, we're going to be about 8 or 9 strong with you. So let's get it rolling.
It's definitely enough for a tournament. So for the audience, to bring them completely in. So I've mentioned it a little bit before, but next weekend, what's that going to be, like the 12th and 13th of September, I think?
Yes.
So the Indy Edge, they're hosting a 4-team tournament called the Hitters and Heroes Tournament, which I really dig what they're doing there. The tournament's just going to have the 4 teams, the Indy Thunder, the Indy Edge, the Chicago Comets, and the Atlanta Chaos. So we'll start with you, Garrick, but I'd like both of you to kind of talk about, since this isn't a completely new team and you've got some experience, what are your goals going into this tournament? How well do you guys think you can do?
So our plan is to, at minimum, win two games. We haven't played for a while, and
right.
So we practiced some. We knocked off the little rust, but the pandemic really slowed down our practice schedule. So we really want to just get out there, let the new players get a chance to play, get some experience, and really use that to build upon the World Series for next year.
Very nice. Richie, you got some personal goals for yourself or the team?
Sure. I mean, for the team, mainly, I want some of the new, volunteers that are coming to learn from, we're going to play, the 2 Indy teams are just a great organization. Chicago is also pretty solid in how they manage their teams. And I think it's always important to kind of learn from that, kind of watch it in action and learn
right.
from that. And so that's
right.
one of my goals. And then the other one is I think we could beat Chicago. I think we could beat Chicago with the, just kind of seeing them lately in the last couple of years, or kind of they're kind of going new and young too. And so I think that's going to be the game of the day on Saturday. I think that's the 2:00 game. And
right.
So I'm looking to do that. I'm hoping that we don't get run ruled
right.
by anyone.
Right.
And so that's it. Play some good defense. I didn't perform really well last tournament. And so I think a lot of that was just the lack of practice of beat baseball. And so I'm hoping, I'm hoping to revamp myself and kind of bounce back with, a little bit better performance, at least defensively.
Right. Now, in all fairness, too, you guys are at a disadvantage. Your team will be. Both the Indy teams, for one, are 2 fantastically talented teams. Both of them, from top to bottom, have great lineups. They're playing at home. They've been practicing together. They've already played in a big tournament, each of them. That the Chicago Comets are in that same boat of they've spent the summer getting to do what you guys are finally getting to do. So just that alone, I know what it's like just from, when the last several years that I played with the Dogs, there was, the Stockton team was out here, but our two teams didn't match up a lot and do stuff, with each other. And we were at that point at different levels. They were new. We were a championship team, or championship ready team. But still as talented as we were, because we didn't get to play in other tournaments and stuff, just showing up at the World Series, it would take us the round robin just to get our bearings together sometimes or whatever. So yeah, I know for a fact you guys are going to be fighting that a little bit, but man, I'm looking forward to seeing how you guys do. And I'm glad to hear you, Garrick, talking about next year. Sounds like this Chaos team's around to stay. So is that correct, sir?
We absolutely are going to be around to stay. Our plan is to become a dynasty team in the same ilk as the Blackhawks and the Edge and the Thunder. We have a number of young players. We have two 13-year-olds, an 11-year-old, and a 70-year-old player, so who are learning the game. And hopefully they'll be able to take over soon, and I can sit down.
I hear that. That's where I was towards the end, man. The amount of work it takes to get ready for these tournaments, it's tough on an old body. I don't know how old you are, but I was in my early 40s last I was playing. So
I'm 51.
All right, I'm 52 now, so we're right in the same age. Only you're still out there playing, man. So good for you, my friend. Good for you. Yeah, I before we switch up and change directions, I want to offer some thoughts to the audience, because honestly, there's been a lot of talk from this show about the last tournament and having a tournament during the pandemic, and how a couple cases were dealt with, whatever, after the tournament, whatever. I don't want to rehash everything, but I try to be honest. I don't try to be honest. If I'm not going to be honest, I don't want to talk. I've reconsidered my position a little bit, not greatly, but one thing that's got turning is like the NFL getting ready to start next week. I love the Raiders and I love football, and I normally would be excited as heck that the NFL season was coming, but all summer I've never believed they could do it. I figured all those people together during a pandemic, there's going to be breakouts left and right, and there's no way they can do it. So I haven't even really planned on checking out any football because I didn't think it would happen. And today's September 5th when we're recording the show. On September 3rd, just 2 days ago, it hit me that training camps are pretty much over. The rosters are being cut, and they're playing a game in a week. And I just like the previous Indy tournament, I just didn't think it could happen. It's not that I didn't want it to happen. It's not that I never wanted people to play. I just didn't think it could happen without causing more breakout of this virus, and that's what I don't want to see anywhere with anybody. But again, that didn't seem to happen. Not that I think I would know if it did a little bit more than and then what was talked about. But I do think that if it was a big deal, our community is way too small for it not to be talked about. So obviously it wasn't a problem. So I give everybody credit there that were part of the tournament. Obviously, you guys did a good job following the rules, wearing your masks, sanitizing. Obviously, that seems to help a lot because the things I, in my mind, said could never happen seem to be happening with less trouble than I ever expected possible. So it's possible, Richie and Garrick, there's an outside chance that I'm not the expert on this virus that maybe I was thinking I was. Outside chance. That was meant to be a little bit humorous. I will say this, though. And again, it just comes down to not wanting to see the virus spread. Like in Indiana, I think perspective comes from kind of different people in different places. Like Richie, you're out here in California with me, and Garrick, you're in Georgia. We're all three in states that aren't doing well against this virus or whatever. So things are more locked down, whatever. Indiana's apparently, been doing better than us, and they have more freedom than we do. But here's really my position on it. If I'm the governor of Indiana, I close my borders to California, to Georgia, to Texas, any state that's doing worse than us. I say, hell no, you're not coming to my state. Not that I don't want you, Georgia, coming to play b-ball. I just not letting anybody from Georgia in my state until this is cleared up. But what you guys all have working for you is nobody in Indiana would vote for me for governor. So you don't have to trip on that. So I will encourage everybody to just follow the rules. Please wear your mask, do the sanitizing, do all the stuff that people are doing to keep this stuff from spreading, and have a fun, healthy tournament. And I hope you guys do well in your tournament. I hope you get more in your 2 games. Go out there and surprise some people, Garrick.
That is absolutely the plan. And know that we take it very serious too, the pandemic. And so I've gotten to where I get checked regularly. I've been going close to every month and getting tested. But we're bringing extra hand sanitizer, because some of the team is driving from Georgia to Indiana so that we can bring some stuff like that also. So believe me, we take it very, very serious also.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that very much, and I'm sure all the people that will be around you appreciate that. And that's all I'm gonna say. I'm sorry to drag you guys through that, but it was a big part of the show the last couple of weeks. And with my position lightning and I having a little bit different perspective, not total, I felt like I owed it to the audience to be honest about that, since I've shared my thoughts the other way. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Before we move on, did you want to say something, Rich?
Oh, no. I mean, just basically that, I'm really happy, and that we were able to figure out how to play beat baseball. I mean, again, this is going to be my 15th year, and I don't know a year, like any kind of good year, going to a beat baseball, playing beat baseball makes me have a good year. And right now it's kind of hard to find any good in this year with the pandemic. And I'm just really proud that we do have the family and the community within beat baseball to overcome fear and still try to give people the moments that they need to overcome that fear at each game. So I'm proud, and I'm proud to be able to make both tournaments. And I give it up to the Indy community for allowing that and making it happen.
Excellent. All right, let's dive into the other thing that you've been doing for the National Beep Baseball Association, Richie Flores. You are the host of the Beep podcast. Talk about that. Promote that. Get our listeners involved in that.
Sure. So the Beep basically was a spin-off idea from a thing that I did with the San Antonio Jets. The San Antonio
Jet Life.
You're right, Jet Life. We have a Jet Life podcast, and basically it was an internal project that I had with my team, and it was mainly for me to get to know my teammates, because we were creating a new team and we had some new players, and I also saw my role more as instead of an elite player on the team, more of a kind of a community organizer, someone who shares experience. I'm one of the oldest guys on the team, and I like messing around with audio, and I wanted to learn how to do that a little better. And so I started playing around with a podcast idea called Jet Life, that just basically we could share with our donors, because we were getting a lot of donations at that point. And that was the whole goal, was like, here, if you give us money, we'll mention your name on our podcast. People will learn a little bit about blindness, because most of my interviews are with blind teammates, and some people might learn a little bit about beat baseball, or kind of have some sort of a sports talk type feel to beat baseball. And so I probably had about 12 podcasts with that one, Jet Life podcast. It's on a YouTube somewhere. And and that kind of put me on the map as the big noise of beat baseball. And when Jared Woodard won the second vice presidency, he also, with that, one of the big goals for that position is to handle PR. And so he came to me and said, hey, why don't we do a podcast for beat baseball? And I had a little trouble signing on, mainly just because of censoring stuff, and the Jet Life podcast is pretty in your face and has a lot of vulgarity or a lot of
gotta tone it back a bit when you do it for the league. Yeah.
And I was trying to figure out if I could play that role well enough, and it took me about 6 or 7 months. I basically took a pandemic to hit to be like, okay, I have time to do it. Let me try it. And my goal with the Beep podcast is basically 15-20 minutes out of somebody's life, and hopefully can learn about beat baseball. So it's the audience is definitely for our community for sure, but also for like new volunteers like the Atlanta Chaos or the California team, who I'm, I'd like them to know, how are the nuts and bolts of beat baseball? How does it work? What is it like? How do you share it with other people? Why should blind people even play it in first place? What does it take? Like, where do they play it, and how does it look when it's competitive? What makes a good coach in beat baseball? What makes a good pitcher? How deep does it get? Like the Hall of Fame is coming out in the next couple pods, a story on that, but 15-20 minutes, to just learn about beat baseball. And yeah, that's pretty much, and feature, the multiple diverse voices of our league,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love it. I think it's a great idea. I'm glad Dave got you involved doing it. In a lot of ways, my goal with this show is kind of the same thing. You know what I mean? That's why, even though like the original home, and I still consider it really the home of the show is in Beat Ball Nation, the Facebook group.
Right.
The reason I put it up on YouTube is because I want, blind and sighted people to have a chance at learning about our sport and getting involved if they want to somehow. So, the more voices we got out there doing it, the more chance we have of bringing more people around.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Along those same lines, I would like to promote a couple of other podcasts because I guess on my own personal like Facebook page and on Twitter or whatever, I've just been trying to promote anything related to blind, any kind of blind podcast, whatever. I want to promote it or help try to promote it. Not that, me doing anything gives it a big whatever, but I just want to try and help. I've given a lot of love to the Eyes Free Sports podcast that my buddy Greg Lindbergh does. I'd like people to check that out. But a new one that I've found recently, a couple of people out of Canada are doing called Talk Description to Me. It's a blind woman. Her name's Christine Malik. People might be familiar with her. I believe she's kind of involved with the NFB, like arts department, or used to be. I don't know why I have that tickling at my brain, but either way, she does it with a guy named JJ, and I meant to check his last name. I didn't, but he's actually a professional describer. He does movies and stuff, or what what I mean. He works doing professional description. So they do a podcast where she's pulling up stuff. And it's stuff that's current, that's going on out in the world right now. The riots or stuff in tornadoes hitting. They recently did a thing where he described what fire tornadoes look like. I think that's what they're called, or fire-nados or something like that. But and it's like, it's kind of like what you're doing, Richie. It's like a 15-minute thing, but she pops on and asks about things that she can't see that people are talking about in social media, and JJ describes it, and I personally love it. I think blind people or sighted people, because it's a podcast and he's describing stuff, I think both could enjoy it. So I'd like people to check that out in a new one. That right now just the trailer is up for it, but Babies Down, Bottles Up. A couple of members of our Beat Baseball community that have been on my show, Lakeisha Holmes, and I want to say Rebecca Lewis, but I hear Kyle's been getting a little envious that he doesn't get any mention. So I'm going to say Lakeisha Holmes and Kyle Lewis, the all-star from the Indy Thunder. His wife is also one of the hosts. There's like 6 of them all together, blind women who are all parents, and they're going to talk about blind parenting and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know, that kind of stuff I think is cool to be available for other blind parents, male or female. So I want them to, I wish them luck with their podcast, and I won't keep promoting anything I come across in the blind community along these lines. I'm going to go try to give them some notice and try to help out if I can. I'm helping by people, Richie. Trying to follow your role, baby. Trying to follow you, dude.
I can even kind of indirectly, somehow, some way tie the blind bottles down, or when the Babies Down, Bottles Up, to the Jet Life podcast, because Axel, my one of my best buddies, and
he's been on the show also. He's been on the show, Axel Cox.
He's editing that podcast, and he didn't know nothing about Gold Wave until I started doing Jet Life. So.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I mean, I know he edits his own stuff. He does his own podcast, Rolling with Smooth. I know he edits that, and so I assumed he was editing this new podcast, but I hadn't asked him yet.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I figured that was the case.
Yeah, and I love. I think it's Jocelyn Sosa. She's one of the other hosts to that. All those folks are from Texas, Neil. They're all in Texas.
Boo! No, I look forward to it. So far, they just have the trailer up. You could check it out at Anchor and I think Spotify. I don't know if you get anywhere else yet, but look for that to be coming. And that's all I got for you fellas. Mr. Scott, I'm sorry I kind of kept you quiet for a while. Do you have any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Just extremely excited to hear those variety of podcasts. I'm always excited to hear blind people getting more and more opportunity to express themselves to the public, to the community, using as many forms of media as possible. So I'm excited for your podcast, Neil. And although I refuse to say JETLIFE, I'm excited for that podcast as well. And I just really appreciate you taking the opportunity to care about my team and want to help us promote what we're trying to do in Atlanta.
No, it's my pleasure. I look forward to hearing how you guys do, and I'm going to keep this thing going. So we'll get you guys back in the mix later on down the road and talk about 2021 and you guys going to the World Series, my friend.
Oh, and I want to win that Jeopardy, baby.
What, you think it's that simple, Richie? People could just say, "Hey, buddy, let me come on." Come on, now you're gonna work harder.
I know I can win that. That's the thing.
Let me ask you. Are you a Jeopardy fan? Like, do you do Jeopardy in real life, the TV show?
Not really. I'm too dumb for that. But I'm a smart beatball guy. I know beatball history, baby.
Right, I'm right there with you. I'm too dumb to listen to game shows, so I don't. But that's where
Neil.
Man.
At some point, I know we're talking about baseball, but I would love for us to get an opportunity to talk about Metas and the work we do, not just in Mexico, but the work we do here in the United States also with blind individuals who speak Spanish as their first language and those just who go underserved in this country as well as we can.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do that. I honestly, I consider the world of beat baseball too small a pool to swim in all year round to just simply stick to that. So like I've when I had Ethan Johnston on, it really was more a show about life than it was about beat ball, even though it tied into beat ball. And a couple at the end of September, David Smith's coming on, and I'm gonna have a therapist on. We're gonna be talking about trauma in the blind community. And so this what you just mentioned, Garrick, it falls along the lines. That's an important message about life. So I'd be happy to have you guys come back later on down the road, and we'll talk that up. I'd be happy to do that.
Yeah, we've left a few beat baseballs in Mexico, but yeah, metasinternational.org, and our main work here in the States with that is basically folks who don't usually receive government services or Social Security, and so basically the undocumented blind community is who we serve here in the States.
All right.
Nice.
Well,
man.
let's we'll as we get into like the colder months and nobody's playing beat ball, I'm gonna reach back out to you and we'll build a whole show around that and get the word out.
Cool, man. Thanks, Neil. It's been great.
My pleasure. Thank you, fellas. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you taking time for your vacation over there, Mr. Scott.
No problem.
Thank
all
you.
right. You all enjoy your evening.
I appreciate your friends staying quiet in the background, man. I thought it was going to be chaos. So it worked out well.
Yes. Go chaos.
Thank you, everybody. That'll be it. Not sure what exactly we will be doing next week. I just know if I'm alive, I'll be doing it here with you. So everybody be safe and smart and healthy, and we will see you next week. Good night, Aunt Cindy.